Hello, everybody, and welcome to this first of its kind webinar to discuss the sport of wrestling during the pandemic and how we at Green Science Solutions believe that SAO, or Stabilized Aqueous Ozone, is uniquely positioned to help the sport of wrestling not only return to the mat, but through the adoption of this safe, sustainable cleaning and sanitizing technology can actually give wrestling a better process going forward to not only address the current concerns of the pandemic, but will also give the sport a better prepared to deal with the chronic skin afflictions that have plagued it throughout its past. My name is Tim McNiff from Green Science Solutions, and it is my pleasure to introduce our panelists for today's webinar. Joining us are Steve Hengsperger, CEO of Trusano Inc. That's the company that manufactures the SAO technology we at GSS are proud to represent and which this webinar will be focusing on. Jared Lawrence, former NCAA champion and All-American, who is now the co-owner of Pinnacle Wrestling, where they're turning out elite wrestling prospect and Olympic hopefuls. Ann McQuillan is the Director of Facilities and a coach at St. Thomas Academy, an elite prep school based in suburban St. Paul, Minnesota. And Michelle Hilger, Vice President of Sales at Green Science Solutions, will speak about another key piece of technology that helps to verify the cleaning process and helps people to see the effectiveness of SAO for themselves. Then at the end of this webinar, we're going to want to make sure that you're aware of how your school may actually qualify for federal funds available as a result of the pandemic that could pay for your SAO technology. At Green Science Solutions, we are big believers in Trusano's patented technology for a lot of reasons. Trusano's mission is to change the world in the way it cleans, and perhaps no sport is better fit for SAO than the sport of wrestling. Considering that wrestling is very much a contact sport, but rather than one contest that lasts for say 40 to 60 minutes, wrestling, as you know, is actually a series of matches, each lasting less than 10 minutes, that takes place in a confined space, in this case, the mat. So instead of cleaning a court or a gym before an event, and then again after, wrestling requires constant cleaning and a process that needs to move quickly without exposing athletes to harmful chemicals. It sounds like a tall order, but as you're about to see, SAO is more than up to the task. And with that, we start with Steve Hengsperger. As I said, Steve is the CEO of Trusano Incorporated, the parent company and manufacturers of SAO, or Stabilized Aqueous Ozone, a patented cleaning technology, and the reason why we've come together. And Steve, when people first hear about SAO, they tend to think that this technology is new. When and why did you start SAO?
We get that a lot. We started selling systems back in 2006. But we didn't invent the patented technology around the SAO till about 2012. The way that came about was we were putting systems out there all over the country, and some areas we always have sensors on our systems. We were realizing that we couldn't get ozone into solution, and we thought it was our system. So we'd send the new one out, get the old one back. That old one, the one that was in the remote site, would work fine in our building. The new one that we just sent down, we'd have the same problem. And I think in some cases we sent like 4 or 5 before the light bulb finally went off that, you know, it's not us in our manufacturing process, there's something else. And that's how we developed that patented blend of resins. It's only certain minerals that we're taking out of that water. By doing that, we can guarantee that we get the same amount of ozone in solution everywhere around the world. And the added benefit is you actually get a better kill rate with the SAO because of the alterations that we're doing to the water. And you get the added length of time that you can use the solution. Because ozone on its own stays stable in water only for about 15 minutes. We could stretch that out all the way to 24 hours in most cases.
It's been a remarkable process to watch how your technology has changed. It is a patented technology, and you have received a lot of recognition as a result of the pandemic. Talk about how you guys have been affected as a business as a result of COVID-19.
Yeah, well, there's, you know, we sell our products globally, and so everywhere around the world does clean a little differently or sanitize a little differently, and a lot of places using just water. So when COVID hit, all of a sudden facilities or in those countries where, you know, the phone was ringing off the hook and the orders were flying in. I think everyone just realized that you can't just clean everywhere. And that's the beauty of our solution. Not only does it clean, it passes the lab test for cleaning, but now everywhere you're cleaning, you're also killing. And, before we were that food safe sanitizer, but now we have the testing available to show that we kill the approved surrogate. And then soon there's going to be a published report about a university that did testing on the actual SARS-CoV-2 virus as well coming out. So.
Okay, you got me, because I was going to ask you about that, and so you leaked that one out. We'll look forward to getting that information. When I reached out to you and you saw that we were going to do a webinar on the sport of wrestling, what was your initial thought?
Yeah, great application. Like you said, the mats, the people touching each other, and yet at the same time, you don't want chemicals in that atmosphere because these people are sweating. They're going to be absorbing that, not only breathing it, but even through their skin. So, and it's totally, it's rated 0-0, so it can't hurt anybody, can't give them rashes. None, all those problems go away, and yet it's totally effective.
So a lot of people who are going to be seeing this webinar, they're going to be hearing about SAO for the first time. So what is the one thing you want them to know about SAO going forward?
The biggest thing is that they're not the first to be using this product. They're going to hear from other panelists about where they're using it already, and feel comfortable that this product is sold all over the world, thousands of systems every month going up. It works, it's proven, but at the same time, give it a try and you'll see just how well it really does work.
Steve Hengsperger is the CEO of Trisano Incorporated. We know you're extremely busy, Steve. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your contribution here. We're going to move it now to Jared Lawrence. Jared is a former NCAA champion and four-time All-American from the University of Minnesota, and a three-time Team USA member who's now co-owner of Pinnacle Brand Wrestling, along with former Golden Gopher and Olympic silver medalist Brandon Paulson. Jared, if you would, thank you for joining us. Can you take us back to March, say April, and what was going through your mind when you guys shut down Pinnacle? Because if I'm right, I think you guys actually made the decision to close Pinnacle before the governor of Minnesota mandated you to do so.
Yeah, I think COVID-19 was pretty new for everybody. And I just, the co-owner, Brandon Paulson, and I, when anything like this happens, we just want to make sure we take in our athletes, the parents, grandparents, everything into consideration. So we did. We closed down a little bit early, and we were trying to stay ahead of everything. So we closed down, but immediately made the jumps right to Zooms, and where people, it's a little different doing Zooms when you can't have contact. But yeah, we tried to do our best with it.
You were coaching it via Zoom, and I'd seen your posts on social media, and I thought about you guys and reached out to you and your partner, as I said, Brandon Paulson, and we met at Pinnacle and demonstrated the product. It's about 5 months ago, rather, when we did that. Do you remember your first impressions of when we showed you SAO? Yeah,
I do. I mean, we were both hooked right away, almost like one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's too good to be true type of scenarios. But yeah, it was anytime, and this is going to come out a lot as I'm talking about it. I think everybody gets the idea. Anytime you can not use a chemical, it's better. It's better for everybody. It's better for the environment. It's better for the people. I mean, we're cleaning mats quite a bit to try to keep, there's a lot of skin, anytime you have a sport where it's very contact, you're going to have a lot of issues. There's skin issues, there's virus issues, there's bacteria issues, there's fungal issues. I mean, there's just a lot of things. So we have to do our part to try to clean it. And this allows us to clean actually more. Before we were cleaning once a day, a very good, clean, thorough clean once a day. And now we're cleaning after every practice. And the reason for that is it's not always dry by the time the next practice comes in. We have a practice today at 3:45. It gets done at 5:15. The next practice comes in at 5:30. So we got a 15-minute window to clean. And it's not always when we start practice. Sometimes we have to kind of tailor our warm-ups a little bit so that the kids aren't necessarily rolling around, in wet stuff, but at least now it's not a chemical that they would be rolling around in, so it allows us to clean a lot more than we were before. We wouldn't clean because we didn't want to do that. We don't want chemicals in the air when these kids are coming into practice. We don't want them rolling around in the chemicals. We don't want that. So we would just kind of, do a good thorough clean once a day. Well, now because of COVID, we're running a lot more practices than we were because our numbers are lower. So we are, yesterday we ran 5 practices basically back to back to back to back to back So we have to clean the mats 5 times in that process. And to be honest, it's really nice. I mean, we have not, granted, we've only been open a month, but we haven't had one skin issue
Of any type?
of any kind.
Yeah. So you've been using the SAOs. You said you've been open for like a month, but you've had it for about 4 months, and you say you're cleaning more often. How has the technology performed for you, and how do you expect it to affect your business from a cost perspective?
Yeah, and when I say we are open, I guess I should say from this new year, we used it this summer when we had talked, and then basically a year starts over around September 1st, and then we go all the way to August 31st. That's kind of our season. But as far as, the initial cost, is something that you have to talk about. But once you figure that out and you figure out the health of, that's why we shut down before the governor, right? We care about our athletes. Most people care about their athletes. So when you look at the initial cost of the unit, it's nothing over the next, 10, 15 years. That's a minimal cost when you really break it down. And as far as the filter cost, it breaks down the same as you would a cleaner, basically. That's it. When we broke down all the costs, we're like a new filter cost per year versus the chemicals that we're, buying from any online place. They equal themselves out. So it comes out to be pretty even, and you're not using chemicals.
Knowing that Pinnacle has a reputation for turning out elite wrestlers, and you're known nationwide for doing just that, what would you say to those in the sport who are hearing about SAO for the first time?
I would say you got to trust that it works. Even like with us at the beginning, it's kind of weird. Like, how do you have a product that's not a chemical that still works? And you have to understand that it does work, and there's ways to test for it. And the fact that other schools and other universities and airports that are all using it, that people are, you're not the first ones. Everybody will soon understand and get the idea. Like I said, it's not everybody wants a chemical free world, basically.
For sure. Jared, thank you. Joining us now is Ann McQuillan. Ann is the Director of Facilities at St. Thomas Academy, an elite boys prep school in the Twin Cities, where Ann serves as an assistant coach in the sports of cross country and Nordic skiing. Which of those, if you're coming from a warm location, that's Minnesota's version of cross country, only on snow and on skis. And we asked Ann if she'd participate in this webinar because at St. Thomas Academy, you are the facilities director, but you're also a coach, so you can offer us 2 perspectives. So let's start with your facilities director hat. And I know you found out about this from another school. What was your first impression when we came out and you saw SAO in action for the first time?
Well, Tim, I was really excited when we saw it for the first time. Michelle took us into the weight room. We actually used some of the product on our dumbbells that we were trying to clean at the time. I was so impressed that when she tested it with her testing equipment that she'll talk about, the number of particles dropped from in the 2000s down to 200. What I also really loved about it is that the dry time and the time that we needed to leave the product on was 30 seconds. So we can then move our athletes through the weight room at a quicker rate.
There are guidelines that have been put down by the state of Minnesota regarding the return to in-person learning, and that STA put in place an extensive process to do just that. You've been open now for about a month. Have you received any pushback regarding the introduction of SAO as part of your new process?
Well, I'll tell you what we did, Tim. We have not received any pushback, but we were very transparent in the beginning. We talked about the product that we were going to be using. We talked about the safety and the fact that it's chemical free. We had you come out and Michelle come out and speak to our teachers and our staff about the product. We're there to answer any of their questions. They've all been really pleased with it. I think one of the things they like the most about it is that it's very effective, and it's proven to be effective. It's used in other places and with good results, but it's also chemical free, and that is the key for us.
Jared, we talked a little bit about the introduction of the testing in the LM1, and when you saw that, you talked about that at the top. How much did that help in making you comfortable as far as moving towards SAO?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that people need to see, because you have to understand, like, okay, this is not a chemical, but it's cleaning better. So it was same thing when you guys came out. We checked the mat. It was pretty filthy. I mean, you have so much, like in any area that we picked, anywhere on the mat, you basically swab it. You get this count of like 1,700 and same result. You spray it, you leave it on for no time at all. You check it again and it's down to under 200. And it was nice to see. Nice to see that it is cleaning.
And Ann, as you talked about, we did this right in the weight room at that time. Boys were in there lifting weights, or at the time we were checking the equipment right as they got on and off it. How are you presently using SAO at St. Thomas?
Well, we are using it. We're using it in our classrooms to clean the desks between each class. So we have the kids spray the desks, wipe the desks. Next group of kids comes in. We use it in our cafeteria to clean all the cafeteria tables, which we do between every lunch. And we are also using it in the weight room on a daily basis.
So take off your admin hat for a moment, you're also a coach. How comfortable are you seeing your athletes interacting and being around SAO?
Well, 100% comfortable. I notice that when the kids are in the classrooms, when the kids are in the weight room and our athletes, they're constantly touching the equipment or the desk or the table that has been used on. And it is sometimes still wet. I don't worry about it. They're not going to have any reaction to it. We haven't had any problems with kids having reactions to it. But I also know the area is clean and safe for them. And that's very important too. I also really like the fact it doesn't leave any residue behind. So our equipment, our tables, our weightlifting equipment, our desks are actually cleaner. We used to get this kind of funny residue left from the cleaning products that have chemicals. Not at all. In fact, we've noticed we don't even get any rusting on our dumbbells. And that's very, very important and a good thing to note.
And so far, you guys, as I said, have been open for in-learning for about a month. How has SAO gone to this point?
It's done a really good job. We've been, like I said, we've had no kids have any kind of reaction to it. Everything is cleaner, and we've been doing really well as far as staying open. We're full in person, so we have about 600 people in the building every single day, and so far, it's going very well.
Thank you, Ann. Now, Michelle Hilger is the VP of Sales for Green Science Solutions. She hasn't been seen to this point, but I'm hoping she's out there somewhere, because we want Michelle to talk about that other piece of technology we've been referring to more than once in this webinar, and that's the 3M LM1 luminometer. Michelle, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, we've heard me refer to it a couple times, and we talked about the ATP testing and what we did out at Pinnacle and out at St. Thomas, and you take this all over the place. So first of all, talk about what is ATP testing.
ATP testing is adenosine triphosphate, and what that does is it gives you the capability to measure a facility, a school, or a surface of how dirty it is. And the LM1 ATP meter gives you the ability to swab an area, and it comes up with what they call relative light units. And the higher the number, in theory, is the dirtier that surface is. So that gives you the capability to really test anything throughout your facility or your weight room or the wrestling mats. Whatever you need to see fit, it can test anything.
So, but if it doesn't tell you what's on the surface, what is the value?
Well, you want to make sure you know that that area is clean. So every time you use a chemical, you lay down a layer of residue. So that's what happened with Brandon. That's what happened with Ann. So you got to be able to get something that's going to keep that surface clean, because the longer that surface is clean, the harder it is for anything to attach to it. So that ATP meter, what the value that it brings, it can't tell you what's actually on it, because you have to actually bring that in a lab, but it's telling you how dirty it is. So the dirtier it is, the more things are compiling on that. So virus, bacteria, mold, fungi, that's what it picks up. It's saying whether it's the mat at Brandon's club or whether it's the weight room at Ann's school, we were able to measure before we used the SAO water and how high it was. In Brandon's case, because they were using chemicals, we had to hit it with the SAO water several times to get that residue up. And once that residue's up, then you use that water, and that mat is going to be cleaner long term.
Now, as Green Science Solutions, do you use the 3M LM1 hygiene monitor exclusively, or do you use other ATP meters?
We use 3M exclusively. We're one of the 7 authorized distributor in their food safety division, and we've been involved with 3M for a couple years now, and we recognized about 2 years ago that this could be in many, many arenas. It doesn't have to be just the food industry. So we were slowly introducing it in many venues. And then obviously COVID hit, and people needed to have some type of reassurance. First, that the partner that we took on with Trisano was really working. And second, to make sure that their facilities were going to be clean. So it's kind of a whole different protocol for us. We believe that the two actually married really well and they partner very well. So that's how we demonstrate to Brandon, to Ann, to anybody of our potential customers or existing customers, how clean their facilities are.
And we have Steve Hengsperger sitting there listening in, so no pressure. In your time testing the SAO against the chemical cleaning products, how has the SAO fared using the LM1?
Very well, very well. What we're finding, and we actually have data now in the field because we have people that have partnered with us since February and March, that because they're using that SAO and no residue buildup is happening, that facility is cleaner the next day. So you keep continuing to use that and that facility is cleaner. So if we would go to Brandon's place, we may, when those kids get off that mat, we swabbed it and it was maybe 800. We hit it once for 1 minute and it went down to 70. And the reason why is it's picking it up so quickly because there's no residue to break through.
Okay, this webinar is focused on SAO and wrestling. But in your opinion, how big a factor has the LM1 been in helping potential users to see the effectiveness of SAO?
Well, I think Brandon and Ann hit on it. I mean, it's that moment that you see how effective that SAO water is, and it's chemical free. And the longer you use it, like Ann said, the more she recognizes how clean their facilities are, whether it be the grout or the lunchroom tables or the desks in the classroom. You begin to recognize how clean your facility is. And I just believe that's the key. When we can show people by the ATP LM1 that is a clean surface, I think it gives them reassurance.
I think it does indeed. Michelle Hilger, VP of Sales, thank you very much. And a big thank you to all our panelists for making time today. So now I suppose you're wondering what the SAO technology costs and again, how you can incorporate it into your school or facility. Well, it won't surprise you that me or Michelle would be more than happy to talk you through that process, but just know that you can get a starter package for right around $2,000. But what you also need to know that is in most cases, our users who converted from chemicals have also noted a dramatic savings, with the SAO typically working out to a cost savings of anywhere from 50 to 80% from traditional cleaners, and that each SAO kit comes ready to produce 1,600 gallons of stabilized aqueous ozone on site and on demand. But here's where it may get even better. Because of the pandemic and need to clean, the federal government has made millions of dollars available for qualified schools through the CARE Act and the ESSER Fund. The purpose of the ESSER Fund is to provide school districts with emergency funds to address the impact COVID-19 has had and can be used for a variety of purposes, including supplies and services to sanitize district facilities, including protective equipment or PPE, which is where Trisano's technology falls under that. Here's the catch. Those funds are available on a first come, first served basis, and they are only available until the end of the calendar year. So do not wait. Simply go to greensciensolutions.com and give us your contact information, and Michelle or myself will be more than happy to get back to you and help you to be like Pinnacle and be the first to get back to wrestling in a safe and sustainable manner. We want to thank all of our panelists today. We want to thank you for your time. We look forward to hearing from you, and we wish you nothing but the best in the season ahead.